2, 1. Hello and welcome everyone to number 5 of our masterclass curriculum all around multi-channel commerce. Today I have a very special guest here. Actually, he's not sitting too far from us, also in the south of Spain, in Malaga. I am, as always, live from the Plytix office, but we have a heavy hitter in the digital marketing and social media marketing industry. My pleasure to introduce to you guys for today, Brice Jalopé. Hello, Brice. Thanks for joining.
Hi, team. Thank you so much for welcoming me here and for your kind words. It's a pleasure to be with you all.
Wonderful. I know we have a lot of things to plan today. As always, to give you guys a quick idea, this is going to take more or less 30 minutes. If you've seen the others, we may not get stay on 30 minutes. If I get carried away, if Brice gets carried away, this is a topic we're all very passionate about. So today, we're going to do a couple of things. First, we're going to do a quick introduction. Brice, talk a little bit about the current state of social media marketing kind of thing. Then Brice is going to have the majority talking part in his masterclass all around why product feeds are the marketeers, performance marketeers' best friend. Afterwards, I'm going to show you a couple of nifty tricks, how to apply what Brice is telling us here in our Plytix platform. And afterwards, we're going to give you some time for Q&As. For us to get a better idea, if you could tell us in the chat here real quick where you guys are coming from right now. Obviously, Facebook, Instagram is a worldwide phenomenon, but let us know in the chat here real quick. So before we go into the talk, let's give the people here a little bit of context on Brice and his work. I'm going to introduce you real quick. Brice, you started your career in advertisement, so to speak, at Facebook directly at the e-commerce team. And that was back in 2013. And now, most recently, you are working as the co-founder of Coda Lab, where you help companies pretty much apply what you've learned then, what you've learned during your career, and how to be more successful on social media marketing, the platforms out there. The one thing that I would like to know to kick this off, 2013, that's a long time ago. That was actually right after Facebook just went public, and there was this massive kind of thing. How has the Facebook that you got to know back then evolved to what we see as Facebook today?
So actually, I started in 2011, even before the IPO. So that was a very different animal. I don't know, the company changed in so many ways. Back then, the company was desktop only. It didn't have a news feed. It just had a news feed and just started having ads running on the platform. So you can imagine how much the platform has changed since. I think I don't know, the biggest evolutions probably have been its global reach. Have been the and probably the launch of more and more tools for marketers to use Facebook for all the steps of the marketing funnel, from awareness, from advertisers with conversion and performance objectives, advertisers with branding objectives, advertisers with mobile app install objectives. It's launching all these tools on and on and on, and also obviously the addition of platforms such as Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp.
It's just it was already a big part of our life back in 2011. Well, back then, I don't even want to think about where I was back then. Still small in school, I think, actually. But the impact it had in our lives back then, where it was really more this social media in the purest kind of sense, along the lines of MySpace and, AOL Messenger, whatever was out there. Whereas now this is also very commerce driven and really has played a different role, or is playing a different role in our lives. When you worked at Facebook, I think you were mainly working with more larger operations, correct?
So having spent 6 years there, I worked, I would say, between large medium organizations up to very large organizations.
Okay, and now with CodaLab, I think you have a little bit of a wider kind of portfolio of companies that you help.
Yeah, no, we have clients. We actually have even clients which are startups. We work with some incubators. So we're starting with some of these clients. Some of the clients will be, medium-sized enterprises, and some of them actually being bigger companies, international companies, which we also can help.
And what I would like to know is maybe you can give us, since you have this holistic kind of view of seeing how the big players in the market leverage Facebook and Instagram for their advertisement versus the smaller ones. What are some of the differences, or really what sets them apart from how they leverage it versus the more smaller SMBs?
I think they, first of all, are clearer about what they're trying to achieve, and they are being much more honest about what they're trying to achieve. So they will start from a very clear KPI, such as return on investment, be very, very clear about that. And after that, being very strict about how we're going to measure return on investment, and what kind of strategies are we going to set into place, how we're going to iterate. Iteration is very important. Testing and learning is extremely important also. And tracking is also maybe where somewhere some smaller advertisers tend to pay less attention to that. Maybe take what Google Analytics says as gospel, or actually sometimes they might take what Facebook says as gospel, when actually the truth is kind of in the middle. And I would say the other big thing that sets apart, and I don't know, I wouldn't even divide it between bigger or small advertisers, but more savvy or more junior advertisers, would be the attention they pay to first their creatives. One of the issues I see is that advertisers tend to systematically underinvest in visuals, in actually visuals that will carry across their message. But that is extremely important to get your ad to work on Facebook. I mean, bear in mind, your ad is going to appear between photo of one of my friends posting a photo of their baby and maybe my favorite brand. You really have to cut through. You really have to stand out. And the other thing would be maybe not having a holistic view enough, a view which is not holistic enough in terms of what are all the different metrics which are going to impact your ROAS at the end, and understanding what the correlation between the CPM and CTR, when one goes up, one goes down, why is that the case, and really trying to be savvy around these understanding of the metrics.
Interesting. And I think that's a perfect segue into what we're trying to achieve here today, is taking some of the viewers here, and a lot of our customers are joining here today, maybe give them the next step in their kind of journey and make them a little bit more savvy, because this is just like with anything in e-commerce. This is not an overnight thing necessarily. This is the gym analogy over and over again. You have to go do your routine and work on it on a regular basis to really achieve the results. So without further ado, I would like to open the floor for you and let you take over here for the next couple of minutes.
Thank you very much, Tim. So I don't seem to have the hand on passing the slides. Oh, there you are. There I am now. So I'm just going to go back here. Either just mess up something. Sorry about that.
No worries. Sometimes it may take a little bit until it carries over for the viewers.
Okay, so basically, just to give you a brief outlook, thank you very much, Tim, for letting me say a bit more about CodaLab. Basically, we had clients with their performance strategy on Facebook. We mostly focus on actually drafting the strategy and implementing the strategy by managing the campaigns on Facebook, Instagram. Also trainings and creating dashboards to better understand your metrics. And our clients to be all across Europe, and as Tim said, medium to bigger organizations. Now this graph, Tim, can you confirm you see the graph with the wheel?
Yes.
All right. So it might be a bit scary when you see it, but basically all it is, it's the representation of what a customer path looks like when it goes to your website. And your job is basically as a marketer to send qualified people to your website, and that would be paid. Usually it could be paid campaign, could be SEO, SEA. Then your website, that would be the blue arrows you see there. Then your website's job is actually to convert those people into buying your product, registering for your service, whatever you're selling. That would be the green arrows going to a home page, adding to a product page, adding to the carts, initiating checkouts, adding payment method, and then actually paying the goods. But what happens is that you will tend to lose people all at every single step. That's why when you see these numbers, 30%, 40%, okay, these are not universal, but that's for one of my clients, for example, how many people they're losing at every single stage. So when you see that, for example, only 40%, or you lose 60% of the people between the cart page and the initiate checkouts, that basically means that you lost 60% of your business at this stage. And that's why all the S's are there. S's are for strategy called steps. And every step is trying to achieve something. Bring people to your website, get them to re-engage with your website if they added to cart and didn't complete the purchase, etc. And that's what our job is as marketers. Bring them to the website, convert them. But as we're going to see, it's getting harder and harder because there are more and more opportunities. And today I want to talk about a specific opportunity, which is dynamic ads. Because dynamic ads is based on product feeds, which is an important topic today. Basically, dynamic ads works. It's a tool offered by Facebook. It's an advertising platform offered by Facebook. Basically, someone usually goes to your website, sees one of your products. Facebook detects that someone has sees, for example, in this case, a pair of shoes. And Facebook will dynamically create an ad with this shoe and maybe related products and show to this person once this person comes back to Facebook or Instagram. So I think there the first important word here was dynamic. And that's actually the name of the game. What it looks like, that's an example of a dynamic ad. As you see here, this carousel was built automatically by the system. The product there was probably a product that someone saw on the website. And then that's what we call a carousel. So obviously these extra products that appear to be out of the screen of the phone would be only visible if someone used the thumb to scroll from product to product. These would be other suggestions of products that this person who has seen this pink perfume might be interested in. You could even add at the end a map of where your shop is. You can add a whole bunch of things. You could even start it with maybe a video. So before you show them this product they just saw, show them a video re-emphasizing the value of your products. Another way you can do dynamic ads is with this. That's actually what Facebook calls a collection ad. In this case, you actually have an asset you put on the top. In this case, it would be a photo, this lady with the two grapefruits. It could be also a video. And below that, you have the products that this person has seen and maybe some other related products. This is also very powerful because you can add there also a video. It's a very good looking format. And you can do actually some branding and some performance at the same time. Now that we know what it looks like, this is actually why it's so important. First, dynamic ads are going to allow us to either retarget people that has been touched in the past and I went to your website, also actually reach new audiences and going back and actually hitting people at every stage of their customer funnel. This is something that I sometimes use when I run webinars to actually highlight what the state of Facebook is nowadays. This is a quick calculation of if you were to combine all the different opportunities on Facebook, such as all the different objectives for which you can optimize your campaigns, all the placements, the devices, the formats, the targets, all the other combinations, you could, and that is a low estimation. You can easily have 500,000 combinations. And I like to think that means that you have 500,000 chances of getting the right combination and making it work for your company on Facebook. You also potentially have 475,199 opportunities to actually not get it right. What that means that you have to be aligned with what Facebook is attempting to achieve at the moment with their platform. And what they are trying to achieve is liquidity. It's basically letting the platform make more and more decisions for you. So if we want to think about it, we did it comparing how people were flying 100 years ago, 120 years ago. I know when they were flying biplanes, it was all about them controlling the whole plane, having basically a control on every single piece of string on the plane. And if they got any of that wrong, they would crash. Nowadays, it's very different. It's all about setting up Facebook correctly, having all the right metrics and all the right levers, and actually trying to touch it as little as possible. And that's what Facebook talks about liquidity. And liquidity means let the system do its thing. And dynamic ads is very important in that respect. It's built on liquidity. It's actually aimed at you giving your product feed, and basically that will be your input in terms of the visuals. You giving a bunch of text, roughly who you want to target or retarget, and then letting the ads run. Now, it might be a bit unusual because you, especially if you come from now, if you were traffic managing campaigns 10 years ago, it was about controlling everything, but that's actually the direction that Facebook and Google and all the platforms are going. The other important thing about dynamic ads, because it's built on Facebook best practices, it's going to be much more easy to scale your campaigns than if you were controlling everything by hand. Basically, the campaigns are set up to be larger, which basically means they will go bigger much more easily than if you were trying to yourself guess what is the best person to show your ad to. Therefore, it will scale much better. And the other thing that's very important with dynamic ads, it's mobile first. Now, to share a little anecdote, so when I joined Facebook in 2011, we were a desktop platform. And actually, I don't know if you remember, but the IPO went very bad. The stock price moved from 38 to 22 after a few days. It was a crash. And basically, the analyst said, well, it's because Facebook is a desktop platform. Mobile is the future, and Facebook is going to die because of that. And at that point, actually, Mark Zuckerberg said, okay, we're now going to be a mobile-first platform. And the company changed. And that actually, when you see the power of a CEO, there was a story going around that any designer who went to see him with a new design for the platform had to show it on a mobile phone. If they showed it on desktop, the meeting would be canceled. They would have to come back later with a mobile phone. And you don't want your meeting to be canceled by Mark Zuckerberg. The company went mobile first very quickly, and they were right to do so because that slide actually is pretty ancient. I was using this slide in 2014, but they were basically graphing how digital, basically by 2011, was expected to take over TV, which was a momentous occasion because the last time a media displaced another one was in the 1960s when TV displaced radio. And that mobile basically was pushing digital up, and it couldn't displace digital because it's part of digital, but was itself going to overtake TV. And that happened also a couple of years ago. And we also saw that this was actually quite well done by Facebook because we saw what happened to the stock price. All that to say is that also for your company, it's very important to be mobile first. And everybody says, yes, I am mobile first. But the reality is that you say that, then you sit down with your design agency who start to show you very pretty things on the desktop. And actually you end up being a desktop first company who's trying to make it work on mobile. That's actually the reality of many, many websites out there. The great thing about dynamic ads, they are built on mobile. They were built for mobile, and they were made to work on desktop. Therefore, if you base your strategy on dynamic ads, your strategy is mobile first, which is quite beautiful. Now, the next thing that's interesting with dynamic ads, as far as I'm concerned, for you to scale your business, is going to be international. You can go only so far when you stay in your home market. If you're starting your business in France or in Spain, in the UK, that's great. You can grow, and at some point, now either you've eaten all the pie in your market, or it's unlikely, or you've eaten all the pie you could eat. You've got the market share you could achieve in your market. At this point, the only growth, one of the main path to growth will be going international. And Facebook has recognized this as being so important. There is even an international hub. I've put the URL there. If anybody wants to go there, they have a whole bunch of resources to see how to take your business abroad. The great thing about dynamic ads, again, they are built on product feeds, which can be international. So I'm sure with tools like Plytix, you can actually have multilingual product feeds, which can therefore create multilingual ads and dynamically show to me if I'm French, I can see the ad in French. If you're Spanish, you will see the ad in Spanish all across Europe in one campaign, which is extremely powerful again. Something else that's quite important, it's iOS 14 proofing. Now, I don't know if anybody's seen, well, I assume everybody has read between 1 and 100 articles about iOS 14 and the death of cookies. So apparently it was just announced it's coming next week. I'm not going to talk about iOS in general, but what it means is that from a technical point of view, all platforms, Facebook included, are going to lose a lot of signals. They're going to lose basically, they might not lose performance as such. They might generate the same number of sales, but some of these sales will not be credited correctly by Facebook inside Ads Manager. And that's a problem because these signals are used for optimization. They are used for building audiences. They're used for tracking performance, attributing budget. By using actually a simplified structure, and dynamic ads naturally tends to force you to simplify your structures, you will actually have, instead of 3 campaigns, maybe 1 campaign. So instead of having 3 times 10 sales, you'd have 30 sales in 1 campaign. That makes Facebook's algorithm job much easier, which is in your direct interest, especially going forward. Now, there are some, let's bear in mind also the importance of product feeds in everything we spoke about today. So I think it's very clear that dynamic ads are extremely important, and they should be the core of your strategy, especially if you are a e-commerce website or if you have a variety of products or services to sell. And especially if you have a performance-based digital strategy. This and dynamic ads is a great tool, but it's a great tool that will work as well as what you put in it. What I mean by that is basically the product feed. What you see here is the evolution of the return on ad spend of one of my clients earlier in the year. And if you look at the dates, in February, January, February, you saw this blue line, which was the return on ad spend, going up. It was a nice incline, but we are hoping to go faster. And actually, we basically improved the product feed. So just that basically meant that we got rid of all the products that were out of stock. We made sure all the products were in the product feed. We added full price and discount price in the product feed, all this information. And then you can see actually the jump in the ROAS. And the jump in the ROAS was due to the jump in purchase per visit. And basically that meant that we were still running the same ads, but when people click on the products, they actually had more opportunities to go to products they really wanted to buy, and therefore they bought them. So that's just the example I wanted to give here, as in, product feeds aren't just something that you put there because you need to put it, and dynamic ads will make wonders. It actually is core to the performance of.
Excuse me, Brice, let me pause you here real quick. Can you turn your Slack off in the background, the notifications? I think it may ring into some ears here.
You even recognize Slack by sounds. That shows.
I'm using way too much, yes.
The next one here that I wanted to also highlight was shops. Then once you have made the investment in time and money, which is a very good investment, I believe, in a good feed, what you also can think of is leveraging it for shops. Shops were launched by Facebook on Facebook and Instagram, and they keep investing in these platforms. And shops are very important because they help you to do a bunch of things. First, they can help you actually to improve the visibility of your products on Facebook, Instagram, and also they can keep people on Facebook and Instagram. So let's bear in mind that, let's imagine someone actually can, in this example, it's clearer. You can see here someone can see a post which actually has a product tagged into it. That would be an image you would see in Facebook or Instagram on the left. And in it, you see there's a photo and there's a stool that is there tagged with a little name tag above with a price. You can click on it. That can actually open the product page that's still within Instagram or Facebook, and then you can actually buy the product directly in Instagram or Facebook. Now, the great thing about that is that, first, it's all within Facebook, therefore, there is no loss of signal. So the day of tomorrow, iOS 14 lands, and there is issues tracking on the website. That's not an issue because the sale happened on Facebook itself. Or even if cookies have an issue, well, the sale happened on Facebook. So therefore, you will have this 100% perfect signal coming from this sale. And the other thing that's interesting is that it's all preloaded within Facebook. Therefore, you have loading times which are near zero, and that makes for a great experience, a great mobile experience. That's another example. We can see some products being tagged. So here, socks. I mean, your imagination can run wild in terms of what you can do with this kind of product tagging on Facebook. That's another example. So in terms of examples, as you can see, that's a very important platform. And I would say also what's important for you to bear in mind, that's something that Facebook keeps investing in. So I would suggest that you consider it, because it's always good to be aligned with what these big platforms do, to make sure that if you invest time and money internally to adopt some products, adopt the products that the company itself is investing in. So it's a long-term profitable investment. Another example. Now, that's actually, we're getting actually to the end of my presentation. I didn't want to make it too long. I just had a suggestion that if anybody out there has more, so now we're gonna stay for the questions. It's a pleasure. But in case someone wants to get back to me and ask more questions and stuff, I'll have a suggestion. If you make a donation of 10 euros, for example, to any charity of your choice, just then drop me an email, say, hey, Brice, I just gave 10 euros to anything you fancy. And then we'll organize for a video call, 10 minutes. So 10 euros against 10 minutes, whenever we can, to have a little question and answer, just the two of us. So I hope that floats your boats. And you can contact me either at brice@codala.eu or Brice Chalopé on Instagram and almost all social media. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Brice. Super interesting, especially seeing with the uptake in just cleaning up the feed. I think that's an often forgotten kind of thing. A lot of times people just kind of draw the feed from their website directly, and it's just a lot of incorrect, outdated, and also not optimized data, because what works on your website is website optimized versus Facebook and Instagram. You're talking to a different audience. Some people may not know your products yet. It's a different ballgame. So I do have a couple of questions already. I want to show you guys real quick on how you can take some of the things that Brice has mentioned here right now. And I would like to get your thoughts on some of those too. I'm going to share my screen here with you just right now. And what you see here is our Plytix platform. For everyone that hasn't seen it, I encourage you to sign up, check it out. And you see here pretty much our evolving webinar series. We started with the general multi-channel marketing kind of overview. Then we talked about Google, Amazon, Walmart, and today is all about Facebook. So there are things in your feed that are required from Facebook that you absolutely need to have, things like the SKU, the title, a link to your product page, etc., that are optional, and these are, as always, the often forgotten ones. So what we want to do here today is, first of all, create a list of the products that you want to send out. Let's say, Brice, you mentioned the international kind of expansion, where a lot of the data is going to be overlapping in this. So the first thing that I want to know is, show me all my products that are ready for Facebook, where the completeness here is 100%. And you see directly 10 of my products are good to go for it yet. But since there's some things that are different in the US and in Germany, for example, I want to stack an extra filter on this and only see the ones that are ready and are being sold in the US. And these are all attributes that you can create in Plytix. Obviously, there's no one PIM that is going to be the same across everything. Every company is different in their own ways. So you can just add some attributes on the fly if needed. And now you see these are the 6 products that are good to go and will allow me now to start my international expansion, get this feed ready for the US in this case. And we're going to take these filters, and this is going to be my Facebook US product list. In the next step, we're going to go into a channel here, and we may already have our feed here ready for our local website, local social media. There we go. And what we're going to do now, we're just going to take this and duplicate this, and we make this the Facebook catalog US. So within a matter of clicks, everything now that you've already prepared for your current one, now your feed is ready for the US. There may be some things that you may need to change the description because you're going into a different language. A lot of those things are the same. Now, next, I want to choose the list of the products that we do here. We're not going to take the Facebook ready one, but the Facebook US. And you see those 6 products here are going to be in this feed. We save the changes. And now as we're processing this, we can choose to keep the feed light, only the changes, new products, since this is the first one. We're just going to leave it as it is. And as it's processing, the result here is this URL. And you can take this URL and just plug it into Facebook Business. And that way you can set your feed up to update once a day, once a week, depending on your changes, and constantly send the newest products. Now, as you are expanding, enriching your products, and new products match this criteria of being 100% ready and are being sold and presented in the US market, this feed will automatically grow bigger as more products are ready. Now, one thing that I want to point out is the custom labels here in this case. Custom labels is not a required attribute. However, Embrace, this is where your expertise comes in. Those are being used primarily to create sets inside of Facebook. Can you tell us a little bit more about how that concept works?
Now, product sets are amazing. So if you start, so when you want to run dynamic ads, you have to have a product catalog. Product catalog being fed information from your product feeds, which is where Plytix comes in. Now, this product catalog actually will have all information, but you could actually overlay. Basically, you could filter this product catalog based on specific criteria, and that's filtered data is a product set. And that's super useful because, for example, I've got one of my clients, what they do, they will actually overlay criteria, which is their best sellers. So actually, they will identify within their 20,000 products, their best sellers of the month. And then when they do acquisition campaigns, so they're not retargeting, they're using dynamic ads, not in this case, to retarget people who went to their website, but new people. And the logic is, if you're going to talk to new people, might as well try to sell them what is most popular at the moment, because is the most likely to resonate with these new people. And that's what product set does dynamically. Rather than you going to your backend and actually trying to guess which ones are the top 20 and leave it there for the next month, this gets updated automatically because it's all based on the feed. And that really works very well.
So it's all about getting the right products in front of the right people, especially if you have a huge portfolio with different categories in there, with different, if we're talking fashion, I don't know, men's versus women's, those kind of things. Here you can get really granular based on information you most likely already have in your PIM here anyways, because you're going to know which are your best sellers. They are relevant for Facebook, but they're also relevant for other campaigns run somewhere else. So this is all about not having to reinvent the wheel, but actually leveraging the information you already have for your other channels and supercharging your performance on this one particular channel. And I think this is the key to success, making your life as easy as possible with the least amount of effort, the most results coming out.
Absolutely. I would echo that by saying that on Facebook, when clients start working with me, they ask me, okay, can my business work? Because not all businesses are created equal or have the same business model. And some of them ask, okay, can it work on Facebook? I say, I'm sure it can work, but basically to make it work, you have to get everything ready, everything right, going back to the 500,000 combinations that I showed before. And that means that things such as product feeds, if they're wrong, you can get everything else right. You're just wasting your time and your energy. And these product feeds are one of these iceberg kind of metaphor kind of things that you don't really see there, but it's the bulk of the data behind the performance of an ad.
Very cool. Thank you for adding on to this. I'm going to stop sharing here right now, and I want to open the floor for a couple of questions. I have received a couple of private ones. We are already 3 minutes over. As you know, we're getting too excited about this. I apologize in advance. But the first thing that I have here is, we always talk about Facebook at this because it's more of the umbrella term almost, but Facebook catalog includes Instagram. Are there differences, things where Instagram works different versus advertising on Facebook?
Okay, first of all, thank you so much for the question and correcting me. Shame on me on saying Facebook all the time. I think Facebook incorporated, and that's obviously Facebook and Instagram. In terms of differences, so there are differences. Audience differences are narrowing, I would say. What you're trying to do, you're trying to make your campaigns as liquid as possible. So you always try to say, by default, only have one campaign for Facebook, Instagram, unless something justifies having a different campaign. Now, for example, if you work with an Instagram influencer, that's going to resonate better on Instagram than Facebook. Or if you have a presence which is extremely visual, maybe you can differentiate that between Facebook and Instagram. But by default, try to keep it simple, because that will make your life easier, that will make the algorithm life easier, and you will be able to scale better.
Okay, so it's all about knowing your audience on those channels and adjust to those small changes. But in theory, that's why Facebook, in the sense, well, Facebook, Instagram is so smart. They pretty much do the work for you, so you don't have to worry about any differences in the two.
Exactly.
Okay. One other question, since we're talking social media here right now, how do you think social commerce in general is evolving? I think Facebook Shops obviously is a big thing, because it seems like the transaction, they try to keep you in the platform as much as possible. Mm-hmm. So considering before you're trying to drive traffic to your website, now with a lot of new platforms emerging, TikTok, for example, how do you see the future of social commerce?
So I see it as, it depends how you look at it. If you look at it as in, is it going to replace everything else? It definitely won't, just the same way as e-commerce is not replacing traditional retail. Okay. If we just forget the past 18 months that have been a little bit special, e-commerce is growing extremely fast, but it's still a small proportion of actual transaction if you compare it to retail. But it's growing. I would say social commerce is going to be the same thing. It's growing fast, but it's not going to replace e-commerce as the same way e-commerce is not going to replace retail anytime soon, at least. However, I see social commerce as very interesting. If you do it because you think that's going to help you stop having to take care of your e-commerce website, I think that's not a good calculation. However, if you look at it as in, first, incremental sales, that's very interesting. Second, another way to get my brand discovered, actually, because a lot of people will use e-commerce social shops to, let's say more on at the consideration stage of purchase. It's very convenient to go there to make everything, to check out everything, check out more pictures, and then maybe they eventually go to your website to buy. But the social shop would actually have been very useful at the consideration stage. At the conversion stage, I think that's growing, but again, that's I see it as something that you do on top of all your other activities. It cannot yet replace your existing activities.
So another piece to the puzzle, another layer of complexity for the performance marketer to make their lives trickier, I guess is the right word.
Or I would say irreplaceable.
There we go. Even better. So the more channels we have, the more important you guys are, and the more work you're going to have anyways. I think we're going to leave it here. There is a couple of questions. We're going to follow up with that privately. Thank you very much, Blaise. One last thing that I want to ask you before I let you go. If you were to give our viewers one thing that they should do as soon as they leave this webinar here, what would that be? Besides signing up for Plytix if they haven't.
Beside that, and contacting CodaLab, I would say build a dashboard. Because that will force you to understand your metrics and look at them and not react to. Now, what you don't want is that you reacting to things. Oh, the performance of my campaign went down, so I'm reducing the budget, or it's going up, or I'm increasing the budget. Whereas actually, it might be something totally different. Like your server might have burned down, that's why nobody's buying, or no, there is something else actually affecting. So dashboards are extremely important. They are appalling within Facebook Ads Manager. They are a little bit better in Google, and Google Analytics is a reasonable platform. But no, I myself use Google Data Studio. I really invite you all, invest a bit of time in that. It's a free platform. Go build yourself a dashboard with your data, and you will be amazed what you're going to learn about your business.
I think that's a great actionable thing to do. Please, guys, here, let me plug this in here one last time. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Blaise directly, make a donation, and he will generously help you out a little bit. You do something good, we do something good, and together we're going to help you sell more online. Thank you very much for your time, Blaise. Thank you very much for watching. As always, remember, we will be back in 2 weeks from now on, May the 4th at 4 p.m. There I am again, May 4th, 4 p.m. this time with our co-founder and CEO, Morten, where we're going to recap the series here. Join us. This is going to be a great big splash to finish off this series. Thank you very much, Brice, again for your time, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
It was a pleasure. Nice to see you, team. Take care. Bye, everybody.